and welcome to our webinar on money coaching and goals-based advice. Today we have Jacqui Henderson and Cara Mollica. Jacqui is founder and CEO of Advisor Intelligence, and Cara is a money mindset coach with Savvy Wealth. And I am Amie Baker, financial advisor, recap advice, and also money coach sensibility. So I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you, ladies, for joining us, and thank you for everyone for coming on board. We've got a lot of amazing things that we want to share with you. You know, one of the big things that we've been talking about was this goals-based advice, and also another buzzword is money coaching. So we're sort of excited to share what that really means and how we can actually help with this information, help everyone with their businesses and improve the financial planning process for your clients, ensure that they actually kick these goals and also get their mindset right so that they are on their way to achieving greatness when it comes to their money. So I'm going to hand it over to Jacqui. So Jacqui's going to talk to us now about goals and goals-based advice and really what that is all about.
Thanks, Amie. So everyone is familiar with goals and working with goals with their clients, but there's a new element that's sort of come into play, and that's the way in which we can use technology in the whole conversation that you have with your clients. So goals-based advice is obviously being dictated by regulatory, but it's also an actual financial planning methodology. It really allows clients to save for multiple things, have funding sources to fund, you know, their life assets, that be their retirement, them wanting to buy, you know, or fund their kids' education at schooling. So there are things of why clients come in to see you as an advisor. That's the outcome that they're actually wanting to achieve. So we wanted to tailor financial advice and all the strategies to the gap from where the client is today based on their current financial circumstances toward achieving their goals, and having that goal achievability as a percentage as a success measure. So with goals-based advice, when clients come to see you, we know that 75 to 85% of people actually fail to achieve their goals. And 70% of people actually don't know what their goals actually are. So it's really important to have a conversation with the client that really elicits all things that they're wanting to achieve throughout each of their life journey. And so having that conversation and understanding behaviours and all of that is fundamental in that conversation with your clients. We also know that there's 25% of people that actually have their goals written, but they may not be clear enough or like really defined, you know, how much the goal needs to be or what rate of return needs to be for retirement goals. So they're all the detail that needs to be explored. We also know that people actually don't set goals because A, they don't know how, B, they fear failing, and 3, they don't actually realize the importance of having goals in their life. So it's really important to have, like, bring that into the conversation with the client. So helping them to like define and set their goals and helping them to overcome any fear of failure. And the other reason why people don't actually achieve their goals is because of internal patterns, their behaviours, beliefs, etc., that been sort of defined throughout, you know, growing up or what they've been experiencing in their family. So that language of talk and like preconceived beliefs are the things that actually stop people from achieving their goals. And the other thing is there has been any tools that help clients to achieve their goals. No actual, you know, digital tool or app that they can see where their goals are and see how they're tracking towards their goals in terms of their cash flow, their spend habits, all of that. So that's basically goals-based advice in a nutshell.
Thank you, Jacqui. So I'm not sure if others experience this, but you were breaking up a bit, maybe because of, we're all using Zooms and Wi-Fi's not performing very well. Maybe we do remove the slides so we can hear you better. I also, a bit of housekeeping, we will be sending out a information pack in an email post this webinar, because there's quite a lot of people that are interested in some of this stuff, and we've also got a lot of resources that we want to share with you. And please, by all means, we are encouraging everyone to ask questions in the Q&A box, which Cara is monitoring. We'll probably most likely get to those Q&As at the end of the session, but if we do find there's something that we want to bring up, we'll raise that. So thank you for sharing that, Jacqui. We were losing you a little bit there.
Cutting up. We've got, homeschooling and people on Zooms and using the Wi-Fi.
I'm on my phone because my NBN was down completely today. So there you go. We're just trying to get through this as best as we can. So bear with us, people. Thank you. So yeah, in terms of goals, I mean, it's quite interesting that a lot of people don't even know how to define their goals or actually understand what their true values and what really internally motivates them. And that's where this whole, working with Jacqui and Cara and I, we've sort of put our heads together and realized that this is where the money coaching piece really works in with the goals base, because when you understand how our subconscious mind is and how neuroscience works, which is, part of the money coaching stuff, we can really then identify what's important, what's motivating, and what's charging someone to make the changes in their lives, so that we can then define these goals and then help them actually achieve them. So going from here, one thing that I would like to ask Jacqui as well is, how do you get in with the software that you've developed? And so the question is, how do you really get people to really refine what their goals are?
Yeah, so we go through a process. So at the very beginning, we get the client to go through an interactive discovery that they can do on their iPad in the comfort of their home. And it's got predefined goals, things like your retirement, retire happy, send your kids to private school, take a sabbatical, all of these, buy my first home, buy an investment property, all of these things that are actual goals that have a financial value as well. So we ask them, what are those goals? And we have a prompter that helps them to identify those, because they're things that they might not have even thought of. So it's helping them to prompt and think about what they're actually wanting in their life. And then we go through and understand, their financial circumstances. And once we have those, two things, a high level understanding of their finances as well as their actual goals, we can actually, through our very sophisticated modeling engine that sits behind our platform, we can actually give them a goal achievability. So based on your current circumstances, you have, a 20% chance of buying that first home, or, an 80% chance of achieving your retirement goal. So that's the sort of starting process, which is this interactive discovery process. Once they've been through that process, they can, book an appointment with an advisor, and then that's where the magic begins, is having that goals conversation. So being able to set very, smart goals with the client, and having that process. We have these tangible cards that are interactive that you can put out with your clients and sort of gamify the experience of the goals conversation. And then once you've identified all the goals, put them into a priority of what's actually, nice to have versus this is essential. I need to have this in my life, versus something that's more lifestyle orientated, like buying that yacht or boat or whatever. So it's really kind of getting them into the right buckets, and then being able to work with the client in achieving those by applying the right strategies, advice strategies, and the investment products or vehicles that they need to help achieve those goals. So for example, a retirement goal may have a particular rate of return that needs to be achieved, as well as a particular amount that they need to have in their retirement as their income stream. So we basically model all of that live in front of the customer, so they can actually see, okay, the value of the advice that I'm actually getting is, and this is that I need to take to achieve my outcome, which is my goal.
Fantastic. Now, one thing I found and why I kind of got into the money coaching thing is a lot of clients would have an idea of what their goals were and would do this amazing financial plan and move them from here to here, and then would do a review and they were either not doing their part to get to that point of implementing or achieving their goal, and often it was because they weren't really in touch with that, and we had to do some work on, their mindset and work out what's going on with their, in their behaviors, what's actually their blocks, what we call a money block, where it's actually subconscious stuff that's holding them back from where they want to actually head. So this sort of conversation I wanted to bring Cara into, with how our minds and our subconscious also work with tying in this achieving our goals in the goals-based advice process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you then.
Yeah, absolutely. So our subconscious mind plays a massive part in our behaviors and how and ultimately our financial reality. So 95% of the time, we're actually operating from our subconscious, and throughout our lifetime, we've formed there's thoughts, beliefs, patterns, and behaviors that we have around money. And a lot of this is formed in early childhood between the ages of 0 and 7 years. And this is really subconsciously the things that people think around money, their relationship with money, and the blocks that they have. So it may be things like, it's unrealistic for me to have that. It's hard for me to have that. I have to sacrifice. It's wrong for me to want more money. It's not possible for me to have that. And what we need to understand is that these are deep rooted in the subconscious, and our clients are not even aware that they have these thoughts and beliefs, and it's sabotaging them, because you'll see in their patterns that it's just they're replaying the same thing over and over again. So what we need to actually help them do is become aware of these patterns, become aware of these beliefs, and then how to reprogram them in the subconscious mind. And there are tools and strategies that have to assist them in doing that. But it's really understanding that when a client doesn't stick to the plan, or doesn't follow through with things, there's an underlying reason for that. And money coaching helps you uncover what that is. It helps you uncover why they're getting in their own way. And ultimately, you can give them strategies, and also coach them through and add value to them. So you can identify that and have conversations with them, which will mean that they're going to get, far closer to their goals and achieving their financial reality that they want through this process.
Yeah, it's really those blockers, because they're the things, it's the behaviors and the patterns that actually stop people from achieving their life outcomes, their life goals. So you've got to work with both. You've got to work with the goal, but also the behavior and the blocks that are actually stopping them from actually achieving what they want in their life.
Yeah, which is why I find this is incredibly exciting that we're doing this today, because what we want to also demonstrate is when we get that formula right with the financial planning process. So we establish what the goals are, and as Jacqui's demonstrated, we can, with technology, we can show them how they can get from A to B, and then with the actual understanding and the relationship, and this relationship that can continue and go be ongoing, really hone in on how we can ensure their success. And that is one, understanding what's going on, as Cara's just put. So understanding their subconscious, which is derived from early childhood. So we actually do need to do some unpacking there. Look at what's going on, what's actually caused them to have these beliefs, have these potential sabotages, certain behaviours that could be, maybe online shopping or reckless behaviour, maybe gambling, things that you might not actually be able to pick up in a fact find. But as you start on layering and working out all this information, you're building an incredible amount of rapport with the client. You're building an incredible relationship that doesn't just have to be through that, once we've got this goal, we're going to get here, you're here. It's something that just continually grows and is ongoing. But at the same time, as you unpack all this information, you're, the trust is being there as well, but you're helping them with so many other areas of their life and removing a lot of the issues with, such as anxiety or, relationship stress. I mean, it sounds like it, we've got to actually put a disclaimer, we're not psychologists, but there's a lot of psychology involved in this process.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So in saying that, now, Jacqui, I've got here the next thing we're going to talk about. So you have a white paper on this topic. Do we, because it's also been put down at the bottom, so I'm a bit thrown by this. Bear with us, guys. We've had tech issues all morning, so we're a bit all over the shop here. Did you want to share that now, or shall we just keep going and talking about sort of the point of where unlayering and actually the archetypes and language and experiences through the money coaching process?
Yeah, well, we can share the link at the end of this webinar so everyone can have a read of that. That goes pretty deep into, people's money values, their money beliefs, all the neuroscience around, working the psychology aspects of working with your clients. But I know we've got a couple of questions that have also come through around sort of how do you cope with clients that realize that their goals aren't aligned. So I think maybe Cara, I know you speak about, the values aspect of a client, and if their values aren't aligned, there's going to be, it's going to be hard for them to actually achieve their goal as an outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I do with my clients is I really help them understand what their values are, and then we look at their goals and see whether they're aligned. Because when people sabotage themselves or when people procrastinate, it's usually because those goals are not their actual true goals and they're not aligned with their values. So for example, if you have a client that says, I want an investment property or I want shares, it's really understanding why do they want that. It's always about the why. So what feeling or emotion are they trying to achieve from having that? Do they want safety? Do they want security? Are they looking for freedom? Are they looking for independence? And once you're really clear on that and their values, you'll be able to see the alignment or misalignment between the values and the goals. And once those are aligned and you work through the blocks and the sabotages of how they're getting in their own way, you'll see that they will progress, they'll stick to the plan, they'll move forward. It's when there's this misalignment that action doesn't happen. So I hope that answers your question, Patrick.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to add there, and this is actually great one of the points we're going to talk about around language. When one of the things that we do as money coaches is actually to actually recognize what is important to the client, or actually recognize some of the emotions that are holding them back, is go through a bit of a questionnaire on how they feel about certain things. So language is a really important indicator. And if you listen to that podcast that we did with the AFA Genxt a couple of months ago, that was one thing we discussed a lot about, was listening and really honing in on the conversation the client's having with you, to really recognize, are their values in line with these goals? Is this really something that they've bought into, or is this a neighbour or their father or someone in their ear to say, it's really important you get in the property market, or, this is what you need to be doing with your money. But realistically, in the back of their mind, they want to be traveling around the world, and that, whatever the case may be. But it's really honing into language is a really key factor, and understanding, once we've got a clear idea, again, also looking at their past and trying to unpick some of that stuff, work out what is holding them back. So it's about questioning and really honing in on some of those answers that the client is giving you to find that. I hope that also adds to that question as well.
Yeah, another aspect to that is around the values and like values-based investing, which is another area sort of that we're very passionate about. But if their values are actually aligned to their investment, are they highly environmental and ethical? How do you actually align their actual investment strategies to their values as well?
Definitely, yeah.
Another one key things that we do with money as a money coach is sometimes it's about awareness, so calling out behaviours, and sometimes it might be even using things like an archetype. For example, if someone's always giving excuses, always say avoiding or blaming others, and it's never their fault, not being accountable. So you might have a review meeting and you're going, we said we were going to establish this and you're going to be putting X amount towards your super or X amount towards your savings, what's going on? And there's lots of excuses and whatnot, then we can actually then bring to the mind that they might be behaving a bit like a victim, or, just reminding, not in a nasty way, by the way, this is to be, you've got to have a lot of space there for them. It's a very emotional experience when you're actually bringing up past experiences and reminding them of what their goals are and trying to get them on track. So there's a delicate balance, but, using things like an archetype just to sort of, create that awareness of behaviour so that you're calling them out and holding them accountable to be achieving these goals as well. Yeah. Cara, do you have any comment on all of that kind of thing?
Yeah, so with money coaching, we actually work with money archetypes. So it's based on the psychologist Carl Jung's work, and there are 8 archetypes that we work through. And basically what the archetypes are is it identifies themes and behaviours within individuals. And what that does is it allows you to identify the area that your client needs most support with. So this is when we're really talking about their limiting beliefs, their thoughts, their patterns, and the value that this can add to your client relationship is huge, because you're now able to really get to the root cause of why they're not achieving what they actually want to achieve, why they're not getting where they want to go. So this gives you a structure and it gives you a way of identifying that. And then helping them through that process. So it allows you to provide, more value in the advice process and understand better what's going on for them. So I'll give some examples of some of the archetypes. So you might hear a client saying, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't know how. I don't want to do that." Or they bury their head in the sand, and this is what we call the innocent archetype. And, it's from their programming and conditioning that they don't actually, I guess, believe in their own ability to be able to do it. And so you can really coach them through that, because they're more than capable of doing it. It's around helping them overcome those blocks to be able to move forward. And you may have, clients who are really high risk takers, and almost like, money is for having fun, and like gambling by nature, which is one of the other archetypes. And so then it identifies what it is that you need to support them with more. And by knowing this and being able to understand their language, you're better able to support them. They're more likely to achieve their goals, which means it's a win-win relationship for everybody, because they're getting their goals, your client's happy, and you have a more, I guess, fulfilling relationship with them.
Yeah. Within our software, we determine a lot of that information. So we, as part of that discovery process, we have what's called a behavioural profile that identifies the money beliefs, behaviours. So we developed that with Dr. Catherine Hunt from Griffith University. And basically we identify right up front what's the motivation system of the client. So are they a toward reward person, or do they, move away from pain? Is this the type of person that we're dealing with? What's their sort of self-control? Is it low or high? So there's a number of things that we find out like their optimism. Are they, you know, highly optimistic or are they pessimistic? What's their present bias? Are they short term or they look at long term? So do they have, you know, longer term savings? Are they going to save for their retirement by just understanding their present bias, their temperament? All of these things actually help you to work with your clients so you can identify what you're actually needing to deal with, and how you need to either motivate the person, motivate the client and keep them on track, and whether or not they need, you know, 15-day or 30-day plans, or you can let them go for 3 months. You know, because people need different levels of that like interaction and push. So yeah, it's really helping to identify all of this right up front. And then what are those belief systems? Is it, you know, was I told as a kid that money never grows on trees? So I actually have developed that, and that now plays out in everything that I do, in how I have a relationship with money. So yeah, these are really important things to identify. So we built that into our software so that you can understand the type of person that you're working with straight up front.
It's so important that we do that. Now, this really is an ever-changing landscape when it comes to advice. The traditional model is we do a fact find, and we sit down, establish what the goals are, then go away. We do some research, come back with a strategy. Here's the SOA. We're going to implement this now. We're going to catch up with you in, and do a review meeting maybe in 6 months' time, and then in 12 months' time. And as you've just put it, Jacqui, sometimes it needs to be, what we've established these goals, and we're going to just, based on some of the information that we've unloaded here, we've unpacked, and we understand about you, that it's going to be more beneficial that we catch up in a few, over the next few months on a regular basis. And this is sort of where the relationship and the ongoing service, where with the goals-based advice and the money coaching and tying all of this up into the advice process can be incredibly powerful, not only for the client, because you're seeing them go from strength to strength, and they're getting the support they need, and they're addressing some of these issues that have never even been uncovered before, but they're also, the relationship is another add-on that you have for your business, and the business then can actually now have this ongoing service that is so much stronger than it was before, that then this ongoing relationship, ongoing advice, just can be quite an extended process, which is another incredible value add as a business owner or as an advisor, and for the client. So which I think is a nice segue, where we're moving from the actual process that we go through. And there is a lot of information that the three of us want to share, and we can't fit that in 1 hour, but just to give you an overall view on this, we want to talk now about redefining the value of advice, and also, it's no longer just the SOA. So I'm going to give that over to you, Jacqui, because you had some key points to talk about that as well, with all the info, with all the stuff that you're sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, with advice, a lot of advisors traditionally have really put the value of advice down to the SOA document that they're providing their client. So, they're charging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or whatever it is for this actual SOA document. But it's a document that the client never reads. It gets put in a drawer, and then they never look at it again. So really, is the value around this SOA document? Like, what is it that the actual advice, like the client's coming and buying? Because they're buying a solution to the problem. They're wanting to achieve their actual goals. They need help. So it's not actually the document that's going to help. And that's not where the value is seen by consumers. I've done so much research with consumers, and it's how we, defined a new client experience around financial advice by utilizing technology and software. But it's really around the conversation that you have with the client, keeping them on track of achieving their goals. It's the outcome. It's helping you achieve the outcome. That's why they're coming to see you. They're not coming to go, I need to outperform a market by 3%. They're like, okay, well, I need to send my kids to private school. I need to retire at age, 55 or whatever. They're the outcomes, and that's where the value is. And I really see financial advice evolving, especially over this next decade, into something that's more around coaching and more centered around the client goals, because that's what the consumer is actually wanting. So we really see a new sort of realm of financial advice and a new business model even emerging, where you can charge in a whole different way of charging for financial advice. So yeah, that's where I sort of see advice sort of heading over this next decade is really that coaching, goal-centered, and really aligned to what their consumers actually wanting, and also technology playing a big part in that, because a consumer doesn't want a 80-page document. They want it delivered on one of these. Give me an app so I can see how I'm tracking, see my financial plan digitally. It's linked to my investments, it's linked to my cash flow, and I can see how I'm tracking. I can go at any time for that instant gratification on an app. And that's where financial advice is heading. And that's where we're heading in terms of the vision for our technology as well.
Yeah, totally.
I'd agree with you more. Sorry, go ahead, Cara.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, totally agree with that. It's a paradigm shift around going towards, what is the problem that the client has and how are we going to solve that? And it's really deeply understanding what it is that they want and then helping them achieve that and have that transformation in their lives, and using technology to be able to assist you, but really honing in on your communication skills and how do you get to know your client deeply, and understand what are their biggest problems, what are their biggest pain points, and what are their biggest desires. And if you can understand that and help them get to their goals, they'll be your biggest raving fans. You will have such an enormous referral opportunity from that as well, because you're helping them achieve their goals. That's what ultimately they want.
And the other thing is we're refining, as we go through the process and building this relationship, we're refining more and more some of the deep desired needs that they have. Sometimes you go to I've experienced this. Clients have come to me for financial advice and they, because of a lot of noise, but really what's been going on is that they're incredibly anxious about what their future holds before them because they haven't really planned or done it or been taught how to do it. So there's that one piece of going, and that's where technology steps in, is that, okay, we can actually create a portfolio and we can track and measure, and we're going to set you up with paying this into this savings account and that savings account. But the other issues are really all about how you stick to that and the and where that anxiety is gone. What's it got? What's then? Is there another emotion that gets filled in? Because most likely there is other things that actually keep coming up. And this is where the ongoing piece is really important, because there's nothing that no software can fill that void of that relationship. And that's where the key part is in the advice process, is the relationship the advisor and the client have, and how we're going to continue getting their habits sort of in line with it. It's like going to the gym. I think Cara used that analogy with me on a podcast recently. It's like you don't go to the gym and train once to expect to have the abs and the the biceps. It's something that you do ongoing for years. It's keeping it up. So that's what this part of it, the money coaching, and sometimes you get it, you achieve the goal, and then you realize how amazing that was to do, and it's like how easy it is to actually get there, because we've got all of these amazing tools in place, and the coach that's pushing us along the way. Actually, you know what? I can travel around the world every year, or I can have my dream home, or I can retire 10 years early, or whatever the case may be, because they're now kind of getting all of their mindset stuff right, all of their emotions in check, all of the other things that have been holding them back outside the actual financial plan. I know many of us have gone and sat with a client and given them the best financial plan and being really proud of ourselves as advisors, and it's fantastic, and then nothing actually gets done. That is the most frustrating piece of it. So this is actually fixing all of that.
Yeah, it's always going to be that hybrid coaching aspect and behavioral understanding and tech. It's going to be this next decade.
So one thing that I guess one of the things we're going to talk about is when we're doing this process, I mean, there's a lot of information that we're telling you that you actually have no idea how to get access to. So we will be sending you, as I said earlier in the webinar, we will be sending you some information. And Cara and I also, we've built a course for financial advisors to learn some of these skills that you can implement in your advice business. So like, and also some of the questions will be, you know, we encourage you to ask and whatnot. So along with the software that Jacqui's got, which is Advisor Intelligence, which is fantastic, we'll also be sharing a link for you to register your interest on a course that we're about to create. Oh no, we've created it, but it's going to market as well.
So let's just go to some of the questions. There was a question around charging. Around how do you charge for that? Is it an hourly rate or as you align and achieve each goal? So Amie, it might be best if you answer that one.
Okay, so from because I'm a financial advisor and money coach, I have different packages, and then it's sort of like a monthly fee arrangement. So it depends on how much they would like, and also we do a lot of onboarding stuff before we recognise that, because you don't know what you don't know. So there is no sort of one size fits all. Some clients will go, they really want to get into the financial planning part of it, and then halfway through we realise and recognise that there are issues, and I'll come back to them and go, look, this is, as if you recall, we did this sort of money type quiz, and we did recognise this. I'm now noticing that you're sort of avoiding emails or whatever, what's going on, and that might be an indicator to get them onto another package, so to speak. So I do it a little differently when I'm doing the financial planning process, because we've got the SOA that we have to do, all the compliance stuff that we do. There's a lot of cash flow analysis and assessing and strategy behind the work, behind the scenes. So that's also going to be part of the cost. And then there's a layer of the money coaching that goes on top. So it does come down to what the client is requiring. But then if it's a money only, like money coaching and client, then we just focus on just that, and it's packaged. And that's, I think I'll hand that over more to you, Cara, in respect to how you charge, because most of mine now are sort of interlaced in the financial planning process. And I do sometimes couple coaching where when one or the other sort of come to me and I end up both of them, and that's a different package altogether. So that's sort of more along Cara's side, where she will actually package it, but it is again still quite an ongoing process. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a former certified financial planner, but not actually practicing anymore. And my focus is really on the coaching and the beliefs and helping a client overcome their limiting beliefs around that. So I have, ongoing coaching packages, which I take my clients through on a 3 or 6 month basis. And it really provides that ongoing support and helps them set the foundation to get really clear on the goals, to get really clear on their values, but also to overcome these blocks. So it's charged as a package price, and I refer out for any financial advice that they need if I recognise that. So structured quite differently.
Yeah, I can send in that, because I actually hadn't thought about it. When we were writing all the content out for today's webinar, that is actually a really good question on how you do charge this. It's, again, going back to the whole point of goals-based advice, sometimes the goal is intangible. And with the money coaching, the value lies in more of the intangibles and the actual, achievable, I've just been able to retire 10 years earlier kind of thing. But it does work hand in hand, and it can be incredibly powerful to the client who gets that ongoing coaching as well as the financial advice. And it's just a matter of actually that value proposition, how you bring that to the table when you're presenting that to the client. So I'll put together a bit of a PDF for you. I'll make a note of that So that comes in there, that email package as well.
Thanks, Amie. Just some other questions around. Chris is asking, what is the tech you use? Because the typical options available can't really do what we need it to do from a coaching perspective. And there is another question, an anonymous attendee. Are there any other software available other than Advice Intelligence as well?
I believe there are. Sorry, Jacqui, you're probably better answering this.
I mean, on the coaching side, I don't know. We're the only technology that really looks at a client's behaviour in the way in which we do, and then gives that to advisors to help them tailor their advice for their clients. But then we're the only really sort of true goals-based advice technology that enables you to identify client goals and then model those goals, determine goal achievability for those clients, and then keep the clients track towards achieving those goals, and then being able to model all the different financial advice strategies, investment products, investment research, everything, and it's tied back to the actual goal. So there's no other technology in the world actually that does what we've done. It's taken 5 years of development and a team of about 10 actuaries and big team to develop it. So I know that other platforms have started looking at goals and putting goals in, but it's actually not bringing it into the center of the advice process, where we're designed as the center of the advice process, and then all the modeling and investment recommendations and everything all just basically underpin that. But yeah.
Thanks, Jacqui. There's another question here from Melissa, just around what do you find are the biggest problems and or pain points for clients? So I might kick that off if that's okay, Amie. So the biggest thing that I see with my clients who are small business owners and entrepreneurs can be around undercharging for their services or over-delivering for what they've actually provided. Sorry, there was just someone at my door. So basically it all comes down to their thoughts and beliefs and patterns around that. And so their block is really around not being able to charge what they're worth. And it's really a value conversation for them. So that's one of the biggest blocks that I help them work through, is understanding that and where that's coming from, and being able to actually, charge for their services, and not go into this kind of over delivery type of behavior. Do you have anything to add to that, Amie?
Yeah, well, I see mine is a little different because often you get couples and they have different value systems. So you've got two different people, different mind, ways of thinking, different childhoods. So when marrying up the advice process to money coaching, it can be challenging when you've got their experiences are completely different. They've come together now and they want to be on the same page, but they treat their money and their mindset very differently because of their childhood and because of the way they've been raised and whatnot. So it's then about working out. Sometimes it could be one's really anxious and one's quite sort of has characteristics of the full and very careless and carefree and oh look, the banks just give us a loan, I'm going to get a new motorbike, and whereas the other parties scrimping and saving and never looking after themselves and more of the martyr. So working out how do we get these two people aligned can be a big challenge, and that can actually be amazing because it can really help their relationship as well as them achieving these goals together. So this is something we didn't really touch base on. I mentioned going down to looking at their past and actually sharing what we call their money bio when dealing with couples, but even as an individual, that's incredibly powerful. So actually getting someone to go and have a think about all of their experiences they've had with their money through their childhood. It's really imperative to do through that process, because you can then start pinpointing why they're being held back, what's going on, why they might be incredibly anxious over money, or why they're so carefree, then we can then hone in on that and sort of have it stuck and make some changes. And when it comes to couples, that's where you can start going, well, now you understand why they behave this way, and now you understand why that party behaves this way, and work together on how we can resolve this as a team, and how they can call each other out and hold each other accountable to achieve the goals together. So the thing is, and this brings back the question someone else asked earlier in regards to technology, this part of the process is going to, it's all about soft skills here. It's all like, you know, bringing it back to listening, bringing it back to really engaging and you know, being aware and even having compassion about that, what's going on with them, that can make a big difference to the goals and their plans and the actual strategy behind it all. And no technology can really hone in on those soft skills. So that's something that, you know, we're with, you know, going and doing courses and learning and being on a webinar like this, and sort of maybe implementing some questions that you want to ask your clients to actually unlock some of this information. Because if you get a couple that aren't on the same page when it's how they manage their money, and you're trying to get them to achieve one goal, it's incredibly powerful when you've actually got them on the same page, because they've been on this process of self-discovery together, and they've never thought to ask. I mean, we've heard about that relationship debt, and people coming into relationships, you know, not aware of their money behaviours, and that can be incredibly problematic in marriage, or, you know, in type of partnership, even business. So that's one of the big things that I see in the work, and how it has definitely shifted the way I operate with couples.
Sure, for sure.
That's a big answer, sorry. Ramble.
All good, all good. So another question here is just, are you trying to get to know the clients better by lifestyle and financial fact finds, which I think we've kind of covered off on in the sense that we're really trying to understand the pain points and the desires, the behaviours as well of the client to better assist them?
Yeah, often the underlying motivator isn't really you know, I want to retire knowing I want to retire with X amount of dollars, or as Jacqui put it, you know, I wanted my investments return 3% higher than what it is. Often it is more emotionally driven and values driven, and it's far more philosophical than just the dollar amount. So yeah, it's a, you know, and I think this is where the advice process has sort of, I guess, led us down as an industry. You know, the fact find is great, but there's so many more tools that we need to add to it to really hone in and get the results the client needs.
Yeah, and I always talk about it, it's not about money for money's sake. Like, people don't want money to have money sat in the bank. It's what it can help them do. It's how they want to feel, it's the impact they want to have, it's the lives they want to change, and to be able to live an incredible life themselves. So it's really understanding what it is that drives the individual, as opposed to taking at face value what they come in and tell you that they want to do, because let's face it, most people haven't actually considered this. They haven't actually thought about it on a deep level. So if you can help them do that and really get clear on that, and then help them achieve it, then, you know, they're going to have great results, and, you know, you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience helping them achieve that as well.
Yeah. Have you got anything to add there, Jacqui?
No, I mean, yeah, it's spot on, really.
There's also some amazing books that I think the three of us have sat down in the past and shared books, and we'll also include that at a list. Sort of one of the books that Jacqui said to me to read, and then I read it and loved it, was Love Money, Money Loves You. Yeah. And that sort of what you just said, Cara, reminded me of something she mentioned in that book. It's, you know, money for the sake of money is one thing, but really, what does it do for us, and what does it can do for society, and what good can it do? Because sometimes we've got this sort of attitude, money could be the root of all evil. well, no, it can't. It doesn't have to be that way. Money can do so many wonderful things. So, going down the road of goals-based advice and actually recognizing that someone really wants to have, philanthropic, I can't even speak today, outcome, and they want to actually give back to their community. They want to give to their family. They want to give to charities. That money can do so many good, wonderful things. It's just a matter of getting our clients in line with what's really driving them, the driving force. And it could be something like that as well. It might not be that retirement. This whole process of actually really digging down, finding out what their goals are, and then using these soft skills through money coaching to ensure that they're driven in the right direction to achieve them. Have we got any more questions?
Yeah, we're just on the book. It's by Sarah Crum.
Yes.
I'll give you the detail. Yeah, we'll send out the details. We just had Andrew ask what the name of the book is and the author.
I think it's Sarah McCrum.
You can get the audio as well.
Yeah,
there's actually
I got both.
I got both too.
Actually, there's a range of amazing books on this topic, so we can probably send out a list of, I don't know, maybe our top 5.
One thing I wanted to bring up as well is that there is a lot of science behind this work. So I think we slipped over it in the beginning. There is a lot to do with neuroscience with the money coaching. So how our brains are wired. One book that sort of spiked my interest was actually from Dr. Joe Dispenza. So there's, that when you sort of look at the neuroscience and quantum physics and how we actually are addicted to our the chemicals our brain creates. So you might come across people that are addicted to drama. And you kind of go, oh my God, they're great, but then there's always drama in their lives. Why? And then they sort of fall into this trap of being a victim. But because their bodies are physically addicted to the chemicals that our brains are releasing. So I bring that up because there is actually a lot of science behind this work. So if you are one of those people that are quite analytical and want to look at facts and figures, and this sounds a bit too woo-woo or a bit very, not very directive for you, there's other books that I can actually introduce you that might resonate better.
Yeah, so Dr. Joe Dispenza has a lot of an amazing work on this, and Dr. Bruce Lipton as well. So we can share some of those resources too. But like Amie said, yeah, definitely the science behind this is there.
Yeah, there is a lot of science behind this. So I think that's a key point when you actually understand how the brain works then, and why the subconscious is why we need to look at our pasts and our childhood to understand how our subconscious operates, and why I think it comes back down to what Jacqui showed in the beginning of this webinar on why people really don't even know what their goals are, because they're not in tune with what's going on. And there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of people telling us that this is the way to go and this is what we want to look like. Instagram is constantly showing us the perfect lifestyle, but is it really what we want? Are we really wanting to have the laptop lifestyle, or when you want to have, the little house, way of life? It's all very individual. The whole point of this, though, is you can create a really bespoke process for that client. And bring it back to technology. Technology is going to be a fantastic tool, so that all of the back end, all the strategy, and all of that stuff is sort of all set out, and you can just really work on the relationship with the client.
That's exactly right. We take away a lot of that, admin modeling and all of that aspect, and design it into a customer experience that's centered around the conversation, rather than the back office of passing things to a paraplanner, where you can actually live in front of the customer actually answer questions that they have and model that and show how that, all these possibilities and scenarios, and how, certain things can become possible by just applying these live in front of the client, and just turning financial planning into something that's much more interactive, and where the client feels part of it. Because that was one of the big things that come out of a lot of research we did when we started designing and building our technology platform, was the client wanted to be part of the process. They don't want to, have a conversation and, paraplan goes and produces a plan, then they present it and it's, you know, it's sitting on a Word document or whatever. They don't want that. They want to be part of the process. And they want it centered around what's tangible to them, which is their goals.
Yeah, 100%. Is there any more questions? We're kind of close to the hour here.
Yeah, we've gone through all the questions now, I think. Pretty sure.
Excellent. I'm just going to double check here. Okay, so there's a few things that we want to send out. Because of technology, we weren't able to share our screens and show the slides. So Jacqui's going to be sending out a white paper. We're also going to be sending a few links, including a link to express interest if you wanted to do our course on how to introduce the money coaching process to the financial plan. So it's money coaching for goals-based advice. We'll also include, I'm going to build a bit of a PDF around the value proposition and how you could charge out for this. There are a lot of other resources. I'm just having a quick reminder of that. And I think, Jacqui, you've also got some other slides that you want to share. And then, of course, a bit of a book resource as well. There's quite a lot of books between the three of us. So we'll get all of that together, and hopefully this email can go either out this afternoon or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, then obviously feel free to get in touch with any of us. We're more than happy to help and would love to talk you through this. But it's really around adding another dimension to your business and adding something that can really provide a lot of value to yourself and your clients.
Yeah. And one, you can go to our website and book a demo. We run them, you know, weekly. They're virtual, so it's really easy to go and check it out as well. But there's just a question that came through there from Andrew saying, if you do the course, do you need to buy the software as well? No, it's not. But they go hand in hand in terms of the, you know, the value around understanding the soft skills, because we've also designed what's called our Goals-Based Advice Academy, which has a lot of the soft skills as well. But then you've got the technology that's the how-to. So you need the soft skills, which is amazing that these beautiful women have put together this amazing course that helps with those soft skills. And then, you know, it's the how-to, which is just the technology that helps support it.
Yeah, and with the course, so we've built it out so that it is specific for financial planning. There are money coaching courses and mindset courses that you become a coach. This is specific to the financial planning process. So in that we'll be including, you know, how you can tap this onto an ongoing client relationship. So it's going to be very practical to the financial advice process. And both Cara and I I'm still a financial advisor, but Cara is also was an advisor, and both of us are money coaches. So it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So in terms of our experience and in giving advice and also being coaches.
And yeah, how to incorporate the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if anyone sort of missed anything or come in halfway through, or actually know someone who couldn't be online today but want to be part of this is going to be recorded and up on the AFA website, so you aren't missing out. And we're hoping to send this out to all those who registered, which is fantastic. I think it was about 190 or something like that, which is great. So thank you all very much for your time today. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions. We're all available through LinkedIn. I'm Amie, AMIE, at recabadvice.com.au. Cara, do you want to just share your details, and Jacqui?
Yes, Cara at savvywealth.com.au.
Yeah.
Savvy with 2 V's.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, I talked over you.
Savvy with 2 V's.
Yeah. And I'm Jacqui, JACQUI, at adviceintelligence.com.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. We'll wrap this up and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for joining us.